Hey there, Postal here. So today we're going to take a look at one of my favorite Tier 10 fighters in the game, the La-15. Let's take a look. Alright, so what are we looking at? The Lavochkin 15 Tier 10 fighter, Soviet fighter. It was the last fighter line I wanted to go down. To me, it looked like a poor man's Yak. It looked like the Yak line, but with less maneuverability, barely more altitude performance, barely more airspeed. But there's a lot of differences between these lines, and there's definitely a difference between the end two planes as well. I had some issues, and I'll mention it later in the video. I had some actual issues getting a good gameplay for this plane. And it's not to do with the plane. Actually, well, how do I word this? It's got everything to do with the plane. It's not to do with the plane being bad. In my opinion, it's got to do with the plane being good. I played about half dozen games, and they were all, some of them were like just over super quick and barely got 10,000 personal points. I think I only had 2 of those games. 2 of them were like kind of like this game here that I just played. But I mean, they're just like going through the motions and kicking everybody's butt. One of them was really, really good, an ace, but we lost that one because there was a mining facility that I couldn't do much about. And then there was this game, which is just kind of well-rounded. So that's why I'm posting this one. I might post the ace one. I'm tired of posting ace losses, though, but hey, we'll see. Anyway, so what's the difference between this and the other 2 fighter lines? Well, the Yak line and the Lavochkin line are very similar. Like I said, if you look like at the Tier 7 here and you go to the aircraft details, you just pick a random Tier 7 and you say, okay, well, it's kind of the same thing except less. The altitude performance isn't all that much greater, the airspeed isn't all that much better, and the maneuverability is a lot less. So like, what am I gaining going down the Lavochkin line other than losing a lot of losing a lot of maneuverability? The guns... The guns are actually what make the difference on the 2 lines early on, for sure. And then at the end, not so much. The guns on the beginning part of the Lavochkin line, from Tier 5 through Tier 8, I'm not sure Tier 5 actually, now that I think about it, but from Tier 6 and Tier 8 are 3 23mm cannons. Very strong, very, very strong for their tiers. And that's what separates them from the Yak line at these tiers. These guns are very weak, up to Tier 7. The Yak-15 gets 2 23mm cannons. The La-9 still has the 3, so you're still doing even better. But the Yak-15 makes up for it in having a huge burst speed potential. Now that it's got a jet, the La-9 has a rocket on the back of it, but I didn't really feel it. Tier 10, you've actually got the same guns on the La-15 as you've got on the Yak-30. So, to me, I had the Yak-30, and I was like, well, why the heck would I want a freaking La-15? What's the point of this thing? It's the same guns, and you look at the 2 planes, and you go, well, I've got the same guns, and what makes up for it? So the airspeed, obviously I've added some airspeed to the Lavochkin 15. The airspeed wasn't all that much better. The maneuverability was decently worse, and the altitude performance again was barely better. The guns are the same though. So you look at it and you go, well, why would I want Lavochkin 15? It just doesn't make any sense. I can make do with the mediocre altitude performance and have a lot better maneuverability. Well, something that you don't really think about at Tier 10 is because of all the jets, a lot of planes lose their maneuverability. So the maneuverability on the Lavochkin isn't that bad. Actually, it's quite good. Even though it's not Yak good, nothing's Yak good at this level. There's no 0 with a jet on it. So the Yak-30 is the best maneuverability. The airspeed is deceivingly good on the La-15. The airspeed, this plane can get up above 600 miles an hour. The Yak-30 will burst into friggin' flames if you ever get it above 550. It says maximum dive speed 590. You're never going to see that. Well, if you see it, congratulations. You've got to make a way to see that. The burst speed on this, you're never going to see the top burst speed on the Yak-30. You just don't have that it's just not built for that. Like, yeah, it might be theoretical, but it's not gameplay wise. You're never going to see that. The Lavochkin 15, you can see your top speed, and it gets there quick. It's got such great burst speed potential. The altitude performance is kind of mitigated by that. Yeah, you can't get up to 12,000 feet, but I can get up to 10,000 feet pretty, I don't want to say easily, but easily enough to where if I need to get a heavy fighter or even a bomber, as you'll see in this gameplay, I can get up above 10,000 feet, and it's really not a big deal because the burst speed is so significant. And that's the biggest difference between the Yak-30 and the La-15. The La-15 and the Yak-30 share the same guns, but the La-15's flexibility is so much more significant than the Yak-30's maneuverability. And I appreciate having a flexible airplane more than I have a maneuverable airplane. I love the Yak-30, don't get me wrong. But on just a rando day that I just want to pull out a plane and play a plane, I'm not going to pick the Yak-30. I'm going to pick the Yak-30 if I'm in a specific mindset of I want to play a really maneuverable jet. I'll play the Yak-30. If I just want to play a really great, well-rounded plane, I'm going to play the La-15 over the Yak-30, or for that matter, over the MiG. MiG has really great altitude performance, but loses so much maneuverability. And yeah, it's got good airspeed, but it's not like, it's not that much better airspeed, and we'll actually talk about it after the battle, that it like makes me go, oh crap, man, I miss my MiG. Its burst speed potential on the La-15 again just kind of keeps it in line there. So yeah, 3 different planes actually. Again, I kind of thought of it as a poor man's Yak because you're looking at the stats, but it's actually a completely different playstyle than the Yak. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at today's gameplay and see if we can understand what the heck I'm talking about. All right, there it is, the Lavochkin 15. You know, and this was like the last line I wanted to go down for the Soviets as far as like fighters and heavy fighters and multi-rolls is concerned. Actually, that's probably not true, but definitely for fighters. What do we got? 5 garrisons here. So let's go do this. I absolutely love this plane. This is my favorite of the Soviet tier 10s. And why is that? A lot of it has to do with its burst speed. It's just so well rounded. Its burst speed is probably like the one, it's like ace up its sleeve kind of thing. The rest of it's just really, really well rounded, and I love well rounded planes because that means you can put them in a position to win at all times. Hey, if I could continue to steer, that'd be awesome. What do I mean by that? Well, kind of like what you do with multi-rolls. You know, you assess what you're going against, and you say, well, can I outspeed that? Can I outturn that? Most of the time, you can outturn. You can outturn everything in the La-15, but when you run into those few things that you can't, you know, you can definitely outspeed it. This thing has so much freaking burst speed potential. It's ridiculous. It's on par with. I mean, it's just phenomenal. Hello. Let's see what I can do against this 287. So its altitude performance is actually probably its biggest weakness, but that's true for the whole Lavochkin line, right? The whole LA line, it was kind of like, well, it's kind of a barely higher altitude than the Yaks, barely faster than the Yaks. So I really would have just preferred to have a Yak because the Yak could always outmaneuver them. You get to tier 9 and tier 10, and tier 10 especially, you get a lot of energy on those planes, and you have the ability to get up and go where people don't expect you to go, like 10,000 feet in an La-15. What are we going to do here? So I'm going to keep going straight. Get this W2. And so having that ability to... Hello. No, sir. Having that ability to go and use your energy, use your speed to go higher, doesn't matter what the altitude performance is. If your speed is so much that you can put yourself into a higher altitude state, well then so be it. Look, so now we've knocked out the engine on this MiG-15, and he's just going to be toast. And again, anything, I'm going in, looking at who I'm going against, I can outmaneuver basically everybody. I'd have to keep an eye out for something that can outmaneuver me, but most of these planes I'm going to be able to get behind and just really own them. There's a key 162, that's really the only thing I need to be mindful of, but I can out-altitude him, and I can definitely outspeed him. I should be able to outspeed. Yeah, it's the tier 9 one, so I can definitely outspeed him. So that's really all I need to pay attention to. Everything else, I've got my finger ready on the boost. If something like this 228 wants to try to get away, he might be able to, but not if I'm prepared for it, right? Let's go ahead and take out this MiG if I can. Definitely a dangerous plane, the MiG-15. Obviously he's got the altitude performance to out-altitude me, but he's not paying too much attention. And between me and this Javelin, we should be able to get him. He's on fire, so what am I looking at here? Okay, straight down. This is a lot higher than I would normally go to, but this plane can do it, and I need to take advantage of what I've got in front of me. Now we'll head on down to the Spitfires. We'll get this sector, hopefully. Excellent. And, you know, on paper, you look at this plane and you say, well, I mean, it's got three 23mm cannons. I mean, it's very similar in setup to the majority of the Lavochkin line. You know, what's going to make this plane stand out from those other planes? There's an ME 1101, excuse me, trying to think here. That has 4 really good 20mm cannons. There's the Swift that has 2 really good 30mm cannons. Nope. There's, you know, things like my favorite tier 10 fighter, which is the Sabre, which has pretty weak machine guns, but it's strong in literally everything else. Oh boy, let's not do that. So what, you know, what's going to make this plane stand out? Well, it's not really its guns. Its guns are very good, actually, but kind of like the Sabre, where you have the same guns, basically the same guns that you had at tier 8. You know, this plane, like the Sabre, makes up for it in so much other stuff. This makes it up for it in speed, makes up for it in you know, the altitude performance. It's just such a well-rounded plane that I feel comfortable in almost any situation. Even sitting behind a frickin' Tu-12, which is not what I would normally recommend doing, but he's not hitting at me, so I guess I'll keep shooting at him. In those situations, I wait till they start firing at me and then I try to dive away. There was no issue with just sitting behind him, so I just kept on sitting behind him. Got a fighter to my right. Let's go to that, because I'm going to try to waste too much energy on this 228. There's a multi-roll down below us, right? It's down below us. Okay, yeah. It's just a W2, so I didn't really have to worry about him. What are we doing here? I'm going to go for the MiG, because the MiG's the altitude fighter here. I want to get rid of the... Oh no! Oh no! I wanted to get rid of the altitude fighter there, and use my altitude to come down on the 162. Didn't quite work out that way. Man, what a cluster in the center, huh? Let's go get back to the center. Got this game pretty well in hand, though. We've had 3 of the 5 sectors for most of the battle, and that's why we're at 560 and they're at 300. But I mean, like, anytime I play this plane, it's just a smooth game. Like, there's nothing I feel like I can't handle. You want me to go kill a GA? Fine, let's go kill a GA. You want me to kill a bomber? Fine, let's go kill a bomber. I just can do whatever I need to do in this plane, and I've got no worries about it. It's such a flexible platform, and it really just makes, I love having a plane like that. Obviously there's going to be just certain things that I just cannot do, like flip a mining facility on my own. But I mean, that's true of any fighter. It's not like there's a difference between this and some other, some other light fighter. Whoa, wiggly wiggly, man. Not wiggly enough. Use my burst speed here, get up to pretty darn happy speed. And we'll take a look when we get back to the hangar. You'll be able to see, like, and just compare the burst speed of this plane compared to other tier 10s. No! Knew something was coming up, but... That MiG, huh? Speaking of burst, let's get our burst on, huh? Let's get the boost. Nope, too many other people behind me. I could have stuck with him, but I didn't want to die. There we go. There we go. There we go. Where are we going? And that's game. Whew. Well, what do you get it for tier 10 at 10 a.m. on a Monday morning? But you can see there, and this is actually the second battle I did. Both of them were over 17,000 personal points. Unfortunately, the other one was a loss at 20,000. But let's head back. Alright, for better or for worse, this might have to be the game that I use. I've had, like, all the games I've played in this plane. Played a half dozen today. All of them have been above 15,000 personal points. All of them have been solid games, but I don't know if any of them are YouTube post-worthy. The best game I probably had was a loss. And there's a mining facility. And there's a mining facility with this plane. It's really up to you to get your team to go there. And unfortunately, I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't using my F2 button judiciously. And so we lost kind of significantly, actually. Lost, two-thirds or three-quarters to full. That one was an ace and all that jazz. This is just another, like, solid all-around game. This plane, like, it doesn't allow there to be... How do I word this? It doesn't allow there to be close games like that, if that makes sense, or at least it's few and far between. And maybe it's just because it's in my hands and the way I play the plane, but because it's such a well-rounded plane, I can get ahead of the situation well ahead of time and never let it really get too close. In this game, for instance, like, just cruising around the map, right? I wasn't doing anything crazy, but just going where I needed to be, killing what I needed to kill. We were up 3 sectors to 2 the whole time. I wasn't, breaking a sweat. Kind of disappointing in that aspect. But because of the well-rounded nature of this plane, you can always put yourself in a position to win. And you really have to be, I don't want to say focused down, but like the enemy team has to go out of their way to get you when you're in the La-15. And what do I mean by that? Well, this plane is a lot faster than most people realize, because most of the Lavochkin line is actually relatively slow. It's a little bit faster than the Yak line, but that's not saying anything. This plane is really fast. I don't have it even specialized yet, but it's got great maneuverability. It has good airspeed, like I just said. Its altitude performance is deceiving. And why? Because of this rate of climb. There's only a few planes in the game that have a higher rate of climb, and I can't even jump out and say like the 2 planes that I know for a fact have a better rate of climb that are fighters. I've got specialized, and so it's hard to say. I'm not going to unspecialize them, obviously, or take all this stuff off just to find out. But the Swift and the F-86A have a higher rate of climb, but I mean those are known as speed demons, right? especially the Swift. But I've got my F-86A specialized, and a lot put into its speed, and so it's got a pretty darn good rate of climb. But the Lavochkin line has never been a speed demon line, and this plane has never been talked about as a speedy plane. It has a higher base rate of climb than the MiG-15 though, and everybody thinks the MiG-15 is pretty dang quick. So wrap your head around that. This is basically a MiG-15 with better maneuverability, and yeah, it's missing the 37 mil cannon, which is a bummer. I'm not going to deny that. But the three 23 millimeter cannons that you have on the Lavochkin are the same style, same kind of gameplay that you were used to earlier in the line. So it's not like you've got to learn, how to play a plane that has slightly different gun characteristics than the previous planes on the line. So it's user friendly for sure. It's got a low floor, so to speak. You can hop into it. You can do well in the LA-15 as long as you were doing well in the rest of the line. But the ceiling on this plane, I can't wait to get it specialized. The altitude performance is deceiving because you've got so much speed. You saw me go up to 10,000 feet, and it wasn't really that big of a deal. You just had to be mindful, is there 3 frickin' planes around me? Probably shouldn't go up to 10,000 feet then. If there's just one, do it. You'll be fine. You're going to have enough speed to get up there quicker than they realize. And, you come back down as you need to. This plane is just such a well-balanced dogfighter, and it can do anything I need it to do. If I need to take out a GA, guess what? I'm going to take out the dang GA. If I need to take out a bomber, those are a little bit more difficult just because some bomber players are up at 14,000 feet. You're not getting up to 14,000 feet in this plane. But if it's a lot of those Russian planes, you can definitely be a pain in the butt to them. The Tier 10s obviously you need to be a little mindful of because their rear gunners can tear you up. But you can still be a pain in the butt to them as well. I fear no multi-role in this plane. Most of the fighters I know I'm going to be able to take out very easily, and the ones I can't take out easily, I just have to actually, use my brain and determine, do I need to outmaneuver this plane or do I need to outspeed it? Or do I just need to shoot it out of the air before it can do any of that stuff, right? So if you're using your head, this plane can do so well against so many different archetypes in the game. It's just knowing, you have to know what you're up against. And I think that's the key to making the LA-15 really shine, is knowing your enemy planes and dictating instantly what I have to do to be better than the other plane. Because I guarantee this plane is better than every other plane in the game at Tier 10 in some way. It's just knowing exactly what that way is, utilizing it to your advantage, and kicking butt and taking names. So I don't know if this gameplay is YouTube worthy. I'll try to play another couple games and we'll see if maybe I can get something better. But again, all my games have been just kick-ass games. They just, they're just kind of going around killing stuff. Nothing heart racing kind of wins kind of thing, or losses for that matter. So, yeah. How do you like the LA-15, or have you gone down this line yet? If you have started going down this line, how do you like the rest of it? I liked this whole line, to be honest. Besides the LA-9, although I got a lot of grief for not liking the LA-9 because apparently that's the one everybody likes. At Tier 8, a lot of planes get a lot of speed. I mean, even the Yak-15 suddenly goes from no speed to having great burst speed. 250 is okay for speed, but then you get the Su-9 even. So, I mean, I could go down the list. The Su-9 at least has got speed compared to the Yak-9U. So many planes gain speed at Tier 8. The planes that don't gain speed are kind of left behind, and I think that's what that happened with the LA-9. That's why I didn't quite like it. But then you more than make up for it when you get to the LA-160 and the LA-15 for sure. You just got speed in spades for this LA-15. So anyway, I want to see how you guys like this line. Have you gotten to the LA-15? Do you enjoy it as much as I do? LA-160 seems to be the hang-up where people get caught up and have issues. Push on past it. I like the LA-160, but I can understand why people wouldn't. It is completely different play style. Well, gun setup throws you off, right? You got these two 30 mil cannons, and we all know two 30 mil cannons are some of the most inconsistent gun setups in the game. You've only got 2, so if you miss one, you know, they tend to go left and right instead of center. But once you get past this plane, what's funny is the playstyle of the airframe is very similar to the La-15. The playstyle of guns is completely different, though. You know, great speed, great maneuverability. You're gonna love having the La-15 if you liked the rest of this line. So, wow, man, I can ramble like it's nobody's business, can't I? Anyway, I can't wait to specialize this plane. I love it, love it, love it. It very well may be my favorite Tier 10 fighter. It's definitely you know, it's definitely a fight between that and the Sabre. This F-86 is such a great plane too, for the same reasons. Really well rounded besides its guns. Everything else about it is awesome. The La-15 is in that same ilk. We'll see once I get it specialized if this takes the place or not. Yeah, we'll just have to play it by ear. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a great day.